Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learn back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about what I believe are the 5 most violent zodiac signs. And yes, it does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant. Anyway, number 1 violent zodiac sign I believe unequivocally is Aries. Um, and Aries is ruled by Mars. And they are known, really notorious for having a hot temper. Aries, I've met a number of Aries people, and there's something very combative about the nature. It seems like they will, get embroiled in arguments that don't even have to, transpire. And the thing is, if you start, they might incite an issue with somebody, and if you disagree with, what they're saying, even if it's something derogatory about you, it can often escalate into some full-blown argument that wasn't even necessary to begin with. Um, and the thing is, they are, I would say, they're most easily provoked of the zodiac signs, without a doubt. Aries is just very, hot-tempered to say the absolute least. Some of you may have remembered Lyle Zato was a former NFL player, and he died. I don't know if it was ever confirmed or if there's any irrefutable evidence as to why he passed away, but some had suspected it was attributed to steroids. But anyway, he wasn't afraid to mix it up with anybody. He was very, saying he was combative would probably be a vast understatement. He was very, easily, irritated. I saw him pull a helmet off of somebody one time, and to me, it didn't even look like it was a whole, lot of provocation on the other person's side. And for me, Aries, is the really is definitely the most violent. As number one in terms of the violence of the violent zodiac signs. And on the positive side, they usually forget their outburst shortly after it occurs, but they still, are very, get exasperated very easily, and are, the ones that are the most confrontational. That'll be the quickest to inflict physical harm on somebody. Um, they have very little or no physical fear whatsoever. So, they're not afraid to express themselves violently, and that applies to them more so than the other zodiac signs, I believe, on average. So, now number 2. I'm going to go with Scorpio as number 2, because Scorpio is not just ruled by Pluto, they're ruled by Mars as well. And Mars is the planet that's connected with volatility, with violence and anger. See, with the with the Pluto rulership along with Mars for Scorpio, their anger is a little bit more controlled and subdued, but with Scorpio it's like a dam. That anger is held back for so long until it really it really strongly builds up, and they are just, it's like a fierce explosion. When their anger comes out, it can be very destructive. The tendency for Scorpio is to be, sadly in many cases, to be bitter, to be vengeful, and to be angry. Their anger may often come from some form of jealousy of someone else. It could be over a grudge, over something that might, to a lot of other people may not have been anything significant or overwhelming, but Scorpio may see it that way. And Scorpio, they're going to forgive at times. Scorpio may forgive, but they generally don't forget. Their anger can be held. They could hold on to things for a long time, and that anger is with that, of course. And with Scorpio, they are just, I do believe they are number 2 in the volatility department with the zodiac signs. They're a close second to Aries. Pluto, I'm sorry. The thing about it is, too, again, the fact that their anger, can be, very destructive. Pluto is connected with destruction, and the Scorpio, anger is often due to very, it could be brooding over something again, it could be over jealousy, it could be over them, planning. It could be just being, connected with being vengeful and being angry over some, hurt that might have occurred. It could have even been years ago. And for them, their anger, is just very. I mean, it can be exorbitant, and it's really, they and it's interesting that Pluto is, has a connection with trauma. Mars is associated with anger. Their anger, I believe, because of this, may result in more trauma to most, on a physical or an emotional and or emotional level to others. So I do, I see Scorpio as number 2 as far as the violent zodiac signs go. Now I'm going to go with number 3 on this list. My own list, I'm going to take Leo as number 3 in terms of the violent zodiac signs. Now Leo is not ruled by Mars, they're ruled by the Sun, but the Sun has flare-ups just like Leo does. Leo is comparable to Aries in their anger because Leo, they can get mad quickly, but they can still forgive and forget. They're not ones, to hold on to things for that long period of time. But their explosions can be legendary, to say the absolute least. I think, when Aries gets angry, has the greatest propensity for outbursts on average, and that's, why part of the reason I believe Aries is number 1 in terms of volatile zodiac signs. But Leo is close because Leo is not quite as easily provoked as Aries on average, but Leo does have that ferocious temper. When an anger does come out, it's almost like it sends the manner it sends to a roar. It's like the voice escalates to where it sounds almost like a roar, like the lion emerging, and it's not a thing that a lot of people would want to see because Leo can just simply go ballistic when they really become, infuriated at something. They will make no bones about it. If they are mad at you about something, and if their pride is hurt, and their pride could get hurt quicker than most because Leo is the sign of pride. They're about dignity. Leo can be very dignified, but the thing with Leo is they may not show their emotions outwardly. Remember that in a solar natal chart, the zodiac sign Cancer is often on the 12th house cusp of restrictions and limitations for Leo. So, it doesn't mean they can't get emotional, not at all, but they often will hold that back and they will pout and brood. They'll lick their wounds, figuratively speaking, in private, in solitude and seclusion. But that anger is, can be festering at the same time. I had a Leo sun friend one time. He had a Leo sun, and there was this one guy, he was selling a newspaper, and, he was like, I don't know, it was like some competitor. I think there was one guy, my friend was working for the newspaper, and then there was another guy that was just a regular sign holder, and they had some dispute. And my Leo sun friend, had told me he had been talking to his wife for a little bit, and his wife said, I know that look on you. I know what you're thinking. And he was obviously becoming, very, exasperated, very angry over, a feud that he had with this guy, with this sign holder. And, people don't want to really see Leo when that anger comes out. That's something that can obviously be very, frightening for those that may not have experienced it, because you're talking about like this full throttle rage, which can come out again. Like the Sun has the flare-ups, Leo can have them as well. So I'm going to go again with Leo at number 3 as the third most violent zodiac sign. Now number 4. Well, this is where things get interesting, people. The first 3 maybe some easy to ascertain as far as which the top as far as the violent zodiac signs in that order, 1, 2, and 3. But then when you get to 4 and 5 comes the hard part. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, well, number 4, I'll go with Capricorn. Yes, Capricorn is very disciplined. They live a structured, consistent life. They can hold back on their anger better than a lot of other people. But the thing about it is, remember that Mars is exalted in Capricorn. Capricorn also, the fact that they could be not always, have the robust sense of humor. Keep in mind that in a solar or natal chart for Capricorn, the zodiac sign Sagittarius, which is about humor and jocularity, often falls on the 12th house cusp of restrictions and limitations. And the thing is, Capricorn can be bad humor too. They don't have, there's some that have a little whimsical side and they have the caustic wit, but Capricorn is often, it could be very melancholy and brooding and surly. And when you have that energy, sometimes you have that anger that can come along with it. It could be through not maybe being able to take a joke that was said to them, that they took it the wrong way and they became agitated as a result for it. And the thing is, Capricorn is also, they're known, they're not exactly known to be, overly, sensitive or sentimental. And if their anger does, hurt somebody, they might not even worry about it, that much. Keep in mind also too, I wonder if some of this might have to do, Aries often falls on the 4th house cusp in the solar natal chart for Capricorn, and that Aries energy is like maybe who they are. It could be who they are at the core. It actually is, if Aries is on the 4th house cusp, and Aries, of course, was known, as the sign connected, with volatility, with anger. So it's really, to me, I think I would put Capricorn at number 4 as the, the most, as far as the 4th most violent zodiac signs. Capricorn I believe, can be downright ruthless. And the thing is, again, if they are, if Capricorn has, unleashed some kind of anger, they're not going to really, generally speaking, I wouldn't think they're that worried about, the repercussions that are connected with it. More, I think that would apply to them more so than most of the other signs. But I believe, I'm just going to say it's Capricorn is the 4th most violent zodiac sign. Now, last but not least, now this may be a little bit controversial. It's really hard. It was actually a little bit hard for me to see any other signs that I would see, as far as being volatile, being violent, truculent. But the 5th sign, I had it, I was pondering a few different signs. I had Gemini there, and I was even thinking Sagittarius, because Sagittarius is, fire sign, they have the fiery temperament. But Sagittarius often has a very, easygoing, disposition and temperament as well. So I'll take Cancer reluctantly as number 5. A lot of people may not agree with this, but even Taurus could be qualified, because Taurus is, they're known for peace. They're ruled by Venus. They're about peace and tranquility. But Taurus, when they're, provoked beyond their point of endurance, they could become very truculent. Their anger may be unsurpassed when it's finally unleashed. But I'm going to go with the zodiac sign Cancer. Now, it's interesting because Mars is in its fall in Cancer. And you can argue, well, because of that, then, why wouldn't they be the least violent of the zodiac signs? I don't think that's necessarily true. See, with Cancer, the thing about them is they may very well be the most emotional of the zodiac signs, and emotions can include, anger. Cancer can become acrimonious. They are often, I think you got to keep in mind that Cancer is very introverted, and when you have that introversion, and if you're in the home a lot of times that can cause certain exasperation, certain tension and agitation, I believe, for people. And the fact that Cancer will often brood and lament over something for a prolonged or protracted time period certainly doesn't help matters, and that can fester over a period of time. Cancer may not always respond right away to something if they were hurt by something, whether it was an unintentional slight or something was done maliciously to them to cause some kind of pain. And then the problem is when if you respond later, sometimes the response may not always be positive, and it can be a violent one. Now, in some cases, if you hold back for a while and you don't respond right away, it can be positive if you can be disciplined in that response and respond in a way where you'll face less repercussions as a result of that response, if that makes sense. But a lot of cases with Cancer, I think, they're like Taurus in a way. They'll lament over things for a while, and then the outbursts can be very, very strong. And I do believe, that Cancer is, number 5 on the list of violent zodiac signs. But you have to keep in mind, I understand respect and argument could be made for a number of other zodiac signs to be at number 5, even Gemini, because Gemini is very high strung and excitable, and they can become, violent when somebody, gets them agitated, and when they become excited, it's not always good excited. It's it can be, it can be negative. I remember, one time I had a Gemini rising friend, that, was standing by a policeman for some reason. The policeman was in his home, and the policeman said to him, very calmly, just said, "Why don't you leave?" And then the Gemini rising friend, with excitable temperament and responses, he yelled, "Why don't you leave?" So I could see where Gemini could be there as well, but I'll take Cancer as the number five on the most violent zodiac signs list as far as my list goes. But anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Leonard saying, stay well.